The show is set in a fantasy medieval world where the Demon Lord has invaded the continent of Apple. After the Demon Lord conquered half the continent, a divine blessing fell onto the humans, and a maiden with the invincible hero blessing, Ruti Ragnarsson, appeared. The story begins as we see a simple man collecting herbs in the forest. He lives in Zultan, a town near the world's end. It borders a great marsh and vast uncharted territory. Zultan is a quiet, boring little place, but the best one for a former adventurer Gideon, now known as Red. Red hands in his herbs at the Adventurers Guild, and a few friends ask him to replace his rusty bronze sword. He replies that he is not interested in adventuring and simply wants to open an apothecary shop. Outside the guild, he meets an elf boy, Tata. He tells him he wants to become a carpenter and will help him with his shop before leaving. Red thinks about blessings, God-given traits that everyone has. Later at night, he remembers getting kicked out of his previous party. Party member Ares bashed Red after his recent blunder in a battle. He told them that while his guide blessing had helped at the beginning of their journey, Red was too weak to keep up with them now. He got convinced and left. In bed, Red thinks about Ares being right and that his little sister Ruti doesn't need his help. He goes to sleep, content with a quiet, risk-free life in Zultan. The next day, Red goes out collecting herbs again. The common survival skill helps him find his way and identify medicinal herbs. While picking some herbs, Red encounters an owlbear, a formidable beast. He evades it and leaves, not wanting to fight as an adventurer. Returning to town, Red encounters a group of people. They warn him for being reckless despite an owlbear sighting. A B-rank adventurer, Albert, approaches Red and asks if he can guide their party around the mountains. Red denies it despite Albert offering to have him promoted to C rank, not wanting to draw attention. The scene then shows a bloody battlefield at night. A creepy little girl stares back, whispering Big Brother. Back in Red's house, he is thinking about getting money to open his shop when someone urgently knocks on his door. His neighbor Gauntz tells him his son Tata has caught the white eye disease. Red leaves to check on him, and the doctor tells him that the kid will lose his eyesight if the illness isn't cured within 24 hours. Unfortunately, the herb he needs is out of stock, so Red decides to explore the forest at night despite it being illegal. He uses a skill to climb over the town wall and finds the patch of herbs burnt by a fire. Suddenly, Red gets attacked by the owlbear again and kills it with his sword. He later returns after getting some of the herbs and Tata receives his treatment. Gauntz is grateful that he came to live in Zultan and promises to give Red a good reward. A few days later, a beautiful young lady called Rit visits the Adventurers Guild. She hears news about Red going out in the night to gather herbs and gets interested. The next day, Red finally gets his shop, built by the master carpenter Gauntz as a reward. He thanks him for his help and watches the townsfolk gathered around his shop. The doctor orders a shipment from Red and Gauntz asks him if he has any dreams. Red says that his dream was to get his shop and he is just happy to live with the townsfolk, making everyone happy. On a stormy night, Red is worried about no customers when a cloaked Rit shows up. The two sit down for tea and catch up. Red tells her that he changed his name from Gideon to Rit and she notes that it's quite similar to Rit. Red agrees that he based it on her name, making her blush. He then tells her how he left the party and Rit gets angry, saying he always tried his best to guide his team. Red says that he was a liability and left the team for the best. He leaves to heat her tea after noticing it has gotten cold. After reheating the tea, Rit drinks it and says it's delicious. The humble Red says his cooking skills are nothing special and Rit thinks that it tastes so good because he made it for her. The two blush at her comment and Red is taken back to how he met her. The princess of the Loggervia Duchy. Rit may deny it now, but she used to be quite the proud individual. She would refuse Gideon's party's help against the Demon Lord's forces, saying her nation does not need help. However, one time, Gideon caught her off guard with his cookies, making her admit they were delicious. Rit thinks that this is her being honest, but Red reminds her of how she later joined his party. Back then, the proud princess had requested Gideon in a very tsundere manner, making Rit blush in embarrassment at the memory. Red then remembers the time Rit truly revealed her feelings. It was during the battle against Shisenden, one of the Demon Lord's commanders. Rit's strategy to surround the army had failed and most of her men, including her master, had died. Just as Rit had lost all hope, Gideon showed up and protected her. The two held out against the army long enough for the hero Ruti to arrive and slay Shisend. Later, Rit felt aggrieved by all the casualties in the fight, but Gideon convinced her to rise and play her role in the fight against the Demon Lord. After reminiscing, Red is about to go prepare food when Rit asks to work with him. Blushing, she proposes the name Red and Rit's apothecary for his shop and offers to help him run it. Red initially refuses, terrified that the B-rank adventurer will draw too much attention. Rit says that she's retiring and will help him get more customers. She views two of his special blends, noticing a fatal flaw in one of them. This relieves Rit, who finds out that even the wise Gideon is imperfect, surprising him. Later at dinner, Red agrees to let Rit work for him. She is delighted by Red's cooking and looks forward to having it every day. She starts planning to make a bath and create a bed, making Red think she's moving in. She confirms this, dumbfounding him. The next day, Red wakes up disoriented on the floor. He finds Rit peacefully sleeping on his bed, her alluring body making him gulp. Later, Rit wakes up for breakfast, enjoys her meal, and complains about his shabby bed. After breakfast, she leaves with him to buy a new one. The two of them explore Zultan together and enter a furniture shop. The owner, a goblin named Storm, is shocked upon learning Rit is with Red. He congratulates Red with a knowing grin, who claims he's got the wrong idea. Rit shyly decides to buy a premium double bed, leaving Red flustered. The two leave the shop and Rit wonders about the premium goods Storm has. Red tells her that he has a high-level craftsman blessing, his keen eye pleasantly surprising her. Red thinks about how the almighty, demis, gifts living beings with blessings irrespective of their social status. He sighs darkly, thinking about the only way to level up a blessing, killing someone else. As he is thinking about this, Red and Rit stumble upon Tanta getting beaten up by a large boy. The boy sees Red and tries to attack him but easily gets deflected. He runs away, and Red checks on Tanta with his friend Al. The kids tell him that a demi recently got very violent. Red deduces that he must have awakened a violent blessing that affected his personality. He asks Al what his blessing is and finds out he has Weapon Master, a powerful blessing that lets him master any weapon of his choice. Al is reluctant, not wanting to turn out violent like Al. Red thinks about blessings affecting the personality, realizing the free-spirited Rit fled from her duchy because of her Spirit Scout blessing. He reassures Al that although blessings impact a person's personality, they do not control that person and are merely a part of them. A shy Al then asks if he can play at Red's house and he permits him to visit anytime. Red and Rit then leave to get his product, a non-addicting narcotic approved. The board director immediately refuses, screaming at them to get out. Another director clarifies that a recent illegal narcotic approved a month ago has become a huge headache, causing horrible side effects. Rit manages to convince him that their product is safe and the director agrees. The two of them leave and Red thanks Rit for her help, who says she'll do anything for him. Later at dinner, Red thinks about boosting his sales. Rit tells him to sell his delicious cooking, which Red initially denies. He tries combining cooking with medicine and makes tasty medicinal cookies which become a huge hit with the townsfolk. After selling a whole batch, Red enthusiastically lifts Rit and thanks her for drawing customers to his shop. The girl blushes, unable to stop smiling from happiness. Somewhere in the desert, Danon the Brute argues with Ares. He blames him for kicking Gideon out, saying he was crucial for the team. Danon decides to leave the party to search for Gideon and receives permission from the hero. Before leaving, he discusses with Theodora if Ares could have killed Gideon. She tells him that it's what Urandrala, their elven former teammate, had thought before lashing out at Ares. She remarks that Gideon was a top-tier fighter even for Ares, and Danon smiles, knowing he must still be alive. Another morning, Red is greeted with the alluring Rit in nightclothes. She doesn't seem to care about his look and greets the blushing man. Red spends his time peacefully with Rit. His old friends visit his shop and are shocked upon seeing her there. He understands that a D-rank adventurer living with a B rank must be quite overwhelming. Rit leaves to get some meat and soon, Red is visited by Albert. Albert asks him to join his party, suspecting that his dull blade killed his owlbear. He tries to test Red and points a sword at his neck as Rit returns. She immediately looks frosty and brutally beats down Albert, threatening to kill him. Red tells her to let him go, and a concerned Rit asks him if he could have defended himself. He nods, before the two calm down. Later, Red has a lavish dinner with meat. He asks Rit if starting their new life is why she wants to celebrate, and she simply blushes. She makes plans to get a big bathtub and Red thinks of taking her to the sauna. The next day, the two of them head out for the sauna. Somehow, Red manages to get into an endurance competition with the men. They awkwardly sit together until the elf Gauntz collapses from exhaustion. Later, the sauna owner Zeph talks to everyone about the new public bathhouse. He thinks of closing his little sauna as everyone protests. Later, at the elf's house, Rit thinks of a way to boost Zeph's business. Red comes up with the idea to use herbs in the sauna for a refreshing therapy, and they propose the idea to Zeph. Zeph agrees to try it out and the aroma from the herbs blends into the sauna. It turns out to be an excellent idea and convinces Zeph to continue his business. Afterward, Rit and now drag Red into a sauna with them despite his protests. The embarrassed young man collapses from both embarrassment and exhaustion, much to the lady's concern. Everyone later returns home after a refreshing experience. On their way back, Rit tells Red that in Lagervia, newlywed couples take a week off and drink mead together. She shyly reveals her secret for getting it, surprising Red before they return home. The scene changes to the desert where Ares gets frustrated by a lack of progress on the previous hero's weapon. Theodora asks the assassin, Tis, their newest teammate, if she's disappointed by the broken party, which the soft-spoken girl denies. She wonders why, despite the party needing Gideon so much, Ruti just let him leave. One day, Red is stocking the shop with Red when some unexpected visitors arrive. Red finds a bunch of bigwigs trying to recruit Red. He refuses in her stead and goes back in. Later, Red herself tells them that she is retired. She says that she is working under a lifetime contract for Red's shop before going back in. He has overheard this and teases Red about her bold statement. Then, he puts a precious bracelet on her hand. He asks a happy girl what her favorite gemstone is, and she says that any gemstone he gets her will be her favorite. Somewhere else, a goblin called Big Hawk tells the adventurer Dyer to recruit Rit for them. He reveals that Rit, the strongest in their town, could be a threat to any of them on her own. Dyer agrees to the promise of a hefty reward. Back at Red and Rit's shop, Rit feels grateful to be spending her life with Red despite their parting in Loggerville. Back then, Red had decided to take her through Bewitching Woods, a treacherous area, to maneuver around the Demon Lord's army. They went to a town near the area and Red got Yarandrala to guide them through the forest. Rit could immediately tell how close they were and felt jealous of them. Yarandrala noticed this and quietly took it away to a river for a bath. In the river, she talked to Rit about her feelings and told her that Red would like her. She revealed that because elves have a larger lifespan than humans, she has no desire to fall in love with one. She told Rit that she was just close friends with Red and that he needed a lover to carry his burdens. Later, they had almost finished traversing the forest when they saw enemy forces at the exit. Ares realized that some mercenaries he had tried were enemy spies. The group decided to split up to drive them off, and Ruti was able to kill the enemy after Red and Yarandrala distracted them. Rit, concerned for Red, wanted to get close to him, but Ruti immediately hugged her brother, making her hesitate. Later, Rit decided not to join Ruti's party to stay out of her way. At present, Rit felt like it was a miracle that she was living with Red now. She leaves to send a delivery when Dirt gets in her way. He reveals that he knows her real identity and wants her to go back to the duchy. Rit knocks him down and tells him that she has no interest in that life before going back home. Somewhere else, the hero Ruti sits in a corner. She misses her dear brother, thinking about the time he left. Ares had told her that Red simply felt more useful as a scout. Ruti wondered why Red hadn't told her anything, and Ares tried comforting her. She realized that he was hiding something and immediately attacked Ares, leaving him in a bloody mess. After calming down, she healed him. Being the hero, Ruti kept on her journey despite the hole in her heart. One day, Red discusses orders with the doctor when a loud crash outside demands their attention. They rush out to find a man collapsed in his home, a suspicious powder nearby. Red administers an antidote for the man's overdose on an illegal narcotic. Though the substance is challenging to treat, Red's first aid skills prove invaluable. Back home, he shares the situation with Rit and suggests they head to the river to relax, which fills her with resentment. Back in Zultan, Red and Rit discuss the drug's widespread impact on victims' personalities. Suddenly, a wounded man bursts in, prompting Rit to investigate. She confronts some violent men in town, fighting them until one is killed by an arrow. Rit recognizes the attacker, Al, as her former teammate, which infuriates her. Back at the shop, she tells Red that the attackers were unusually strong, suspecting the drug boosted their strength. Over lunch with the kids, they discuss Al's blessing. Later, one of Al's teammates explains his behavior. With his champion's blessing, he feels unable to understand those with mundane blessings. She feels afraid that he might leave Zultan, but Red tells her that he is loyal to the town and that the Adventurers Guild needs him as well. In a tavern, the brute Danon is approached by a mysterious man, Buey, who proposes joining forces to search for Gideon, the missing member of the hero's party. Back at home, Red and Rit share warm milk and honey. Red assures her the hero's party is fine and reminisces about a childhood memory with his sister, Ruti. As they weathered a storm, Red admitted he was looking for an excuse to hold her hand, which led to an affectionate exchange. Ruti expressed her love and desire for Red to stay forever, though he explained his ambition to become a knight but promised to visit on off days. As Red recalls, a knock on the door reveals the doctor with a bloodied Al. Al awakens in his bed, panicking over an attack on his parents by a demi, the son of the guard captain, Moan. Red hurries to check on Al's parents, finding them unconscious. The demi seems to have escaped, and the townsfolk demand his arrest, angered by the captain's protection. Back at Red's house, Al decides to train and grow stronger. Red assists him in mastering his blessing. They are then approached by Tanta's parents, who inform them that Tanta has been taken away for questioning. They visit the town hall and are taken to Tanta's room. Apparently, the town guard thinks that the attack was done by someone else affected by the drug and not a demi. Tanta agrees, telling them that a demi had apologized for attacking him. The boy had told him that despite his violent blessing, he would try not to hurt anyone and become a member of the town guard just like his father. Tanta is then allowed to leave with his parents, leaving Red and Rit alone with the captain. Red thinks that perhaps a demi took the drug and developed another blessing as a side effect, shocking the captain. Afterward, Red goes back home and offers to train with Al at night. He easily deflects the boy's attacks, surprising him. Red feels happy that Al has learned to accept his blessing when the worried boy tells him he received a magic sword from someone. Al says that he feels attracted to the sword because of his blessing, and Red tells him to think about what he wants to do with it. Somewhere at Southmarsh, the place of the drug-driven attacks, Red is dealing with more violent men. One of them sneaks up on her, but she gets protected by Dana. The two catch up and exchange information as Dana figures out Gideon has settled in the town. Red later returns home exhausted. She sits on Red's lap and talks about getting a bath. Red then shows her the sword Al got, and Rit uses magic to find out that it has a tracking gemstone. They wonder if Big Hawk wants to track Al before sitting down to relax. The next day, they take Al to the blacksmith Mogram to get a new sword for him. Outside his shop, they see a commotion with townsfolk gathered for a protest. The scene then shifts to some ruins where the hero's party encounters a gargantuan demon. They fight the demon with difficulty, but Ruti manages to defeat it. She tells Ares that she won't be providing cover for him like she did for her brother, and he gets frustrated thinking about how Gideon made it easier to cast spells. Their scout, Tis, returns after finding the first Demon Lord's weapon. The group flies out in a giant airship, and Tis asks the hero if she wants to go somewhere. She responds that she does, but her role as hero prevents her from doing so. Red and Rit lie together on their new bed, growing closer, but their intimate moment is interrupted by a noise outside. They realize Al is trying not to disturb them, so they cool down, saving the act for another time. The following day, a cloaked Al is confronted by Big Hawk's men who trick him using his sword. Rit reveals herself and takes down the men, but one of them transforms into a demon form. Back at the shop, Al is captured by another man who is aware of Rit's ruse and takes him to a dungeon. Big Hawk meets him there and explains their plan to change their blessings using the drug to escape their fate. Al is shocked to see a captured Ademi, who used the drug to alter his violent blessing. Outside, Big Hawk stages a dramatic scene, attempting to make Al kill Ademi. Red intervenes, taking the boys away and providing Ademi with a blessing-suppressing potion. Red meets Buey and hands over the children, but Albert, controlled by Big Hawk, confronts them. Big Hawk, revealed to be a demon, had taken control of Albert to rule Zultan. The town guard surrounds them, and an infuriated Albert charges at Red, who cuts his hand off. Red is disappointed by Albert's participation in a bloody scheme, hoping he would have acted as the hero of Zultan. The case is closed after Al forgives Ademi. Later, Red and Rit take a bath together, drawing closer and expressing their love for each other. In a dungeon, Big Hawk is confronted by Buey, who knows his true identity as Belil. Big Hawk breaks his contract with Buey and runs away. He meets Albert in his cell and urges him to help. Outside, Buey smirks creepily. The next day, Red and Rit bid farewell to Al, who has formed an adventuring party with Albert's former teammates. At the Adventurers Guild, Buey signs up to become a B-rank adventurer. Shifting to the airship, Ruti holds a drug pouch in her hands. She remembers how Belil gave it to her. He told her that the devil's blessing would give her an extra blessing and weaken her old one. This would allow her to gain more experience and level up her combat abilities faster. Ruti took the drug, thinking about the weakening effect. She tells Tis, who is steering the ship, to go to Zultan and requests the girl to treat her like a commoner there. Tis, who maintains a poker face as an assassin, is terrified by the idea but agrees. Back at Zultan, Red and Rit enjoy winter. Rit thinks of making hand warmers to sell, and Red agrees. The item is a hit, and later, the couple goes out in the snow. They sit down together and share a lovely moment. Some days later, Ruti and Tis arrive at Zultan. Despite being disguised, Rut draws some attention. Tishu leaves to find an inn for them and encounters Red at a ramen shop. The two of them figure out the other is a veteran fighter and quietly mind their own business before leaving. Tis returns to her inn and warns Ruti about the strong adventurer. Ruti is on her guard and says they'll have to eliminate him. The next day, Red and Ruti are approached by a little fairy dragon. It takes them to a spot in the forest where they meet Undine, a sick river spirit. Red finds out that she has been inflicted by a curse and gives her some medicine to combat its effect. He destroys the root of the curse for her, and Rit thinks that the curse's effect is the same as a strange illness spreading in town. The scene then shifts to a dungeon where the medicine maker Godwin is imprisoned. He is terrified by Ruti breaking into his cell. She tells him to make the devil's blessing for him, and he immediately agrees. Ruti leaves with Godwin and plans on using medicine to heal him. She visits the apothecary in town where she encounters her big brother, Gideon. Ruti sits down to talk with Red. He tells her about how he left the party, and she tells him that she needs him back. Red is shocked that her party needs it. He declines, saying he has a reason to stay in Zultan now. Ruti then says that she'll be moving to Zultan as well, dumbfounding both Red and Tis. Rit then returns home and has a chat with her. After they leave, Rit gets worried about Ruti being on her own, and Red thinks about his decision. Outside, Ruti groans and takes the drug again in front of a concerned Tis. They return to their inn and discuss staying for a week as Ruti needs to visit a place. Ruti then suddenly reaches out for Tiss's pet spider, making her back off and yell. She gets confused and stops as Tis realizes that she just wanted to pet her spider. She feels bad for the antisocial princess and allows her to pet her spider, Mr. Crawley Wally, telling her to ask for permission next time. Somewhere else, we see Buey reading a map. He looks over to a gemstone that has stopped glowing, puzzled to see his curse broken. The next day, Ruti spends her time with Red, running his shop with him, going out to the sauna, and exploring the town. She wishes that the moment would last forever, but knowing her destiny as hero doesn't permit it. The scene shows Theodora, Ares, and Albert in an inn. Ares seems very upset. Theodora says she'll be able to track the hero very soon and offers to get a prosthetic hand for Albert. Albert is reminded of Red, who severed it. He wonders why someone so strong would settle in a quiet town, thinking that one must live up to their blessing's full potential. Theodora thinks that it is not necessary to take the path of one's blessing, as free will is also a God-given gift. This makes Albert question his beliefs. Back at Red's house, Ruti wants to take a bath with Red, but he refuses, saying she's too old for that. She gets into the bath with Rit and Tis. Ruti talks to Rit about her brother. She tells her that he has always been an amazing person and saved her from an owlbear when she was weak in her childhood. She then says that the bath is pointless for her, as her body resists all temperature changes, unable to taste, feel, or experience emotions. All the hero has are good memories from her past. The next day, Red discusses Ruti's drug usage with Rit and Tis. He thinks that while she is safe for now due to her hero's blessing, the drug might weaken it to the point that she'll start getting addicted. They decide to consult Godwin about this. Tis needs some alchemy tools for him as well, and Red goes out to the port to buy them for her. In the same area, Ares, Theodora, and Albert are also searching for Ruti. Ares walks past Buey, who notices something. Red meets Danon, who has one hand missing. He tells him his story as Theodora and Albert listen while hidden. Danon respects Red's wish to not join the party and leaves with him. Shifting to Ares, he meets Danon in his room. Danon tells him about Gideon's presence and new life and realizes that Ruti must have found his location as well. Ares gets infuriated and leaves to visit his shop. He destroys the shop, blaming Red for living a peaceful life, and tears his bed apart. Outside in the mountains, Red is with Danon. He tells him that he met Shissenden on his way there and got his hand cut off. Red is shocked that he is still alive. Suddenly, the two notice powerful beasts flying over them, headed towards where Ruti, Rit and Tis catch up to them. Rit is surprised to learn that Danon is with Red, considering she met Danon in town herself. They realize it must have been Shissenden and they decide to chase them. In the Elven ruins, Red is confused to see the name Hero Administration Authority. He goes farther down and meets Godwin and Ruti. Red confronts her about her drug usage and Ruti tells him that she doesn't want to be the hero. Red accepts this and supports her living her life how she wants, much to Ruti's relief. Outside in the forest, Danon and Ares are still searching for the ruins when they meet Theodora and Albert. Back in the ruins, Tis and Rit meet with Red's group. Red asks how Rut is suppressing her curse, and she says that because of the hero's blessing, the demon's curse does not manifest in her. Instead of the axe demon's blessing, a nameless blessing has formed within her with no apparent side effects. Suddenly, they feel a tracking spell from Ares. Ruti chases it down and finds Ares. Looking mad, Ares tries to convince Ruti to leave Gideon and go back on her journey. She refuses, wanting to live her own life. Ruti leaves after defeating Ares. He groans on the floor before Buey comes up to him. Ares has used a spell and figured out that Buey is an Asura demon. The demon proposes to form an alliance with him and find a relic of the first hero. He promises Ares that Ruti will return to being a hero if they give it to her. Ares thinks about Ruti and how he immediately fell for the cold hero when they first met. He gets determined to take her back and leaves with Shissenden. Somewhere else in the ruins, the group learns about Ares and Shissenden's presence. They decide to find Ares to make him snap out of his madness. In another area, Danon is with Albert and Theodora. He decides to head in somewhere else by himself. Danon encounters Shissenden with Ares and immediately begins a fight. Shissenden, despite being a powerful demon, gets beat back by Danon. Ares watches, terrified of the brute as Shissenden calls for help. He finally interferes with his calls for help and Shissenden is able to strike Danon down. Shissenden then takes Ares into a secret room where they find 5 copies of the Holy Demon Slayer, the hero's weapon. Shissenden explains that each of them is a copy of the sword of the first hero, and the new hero Ruti is also a replica of the first hero's soul. In order to bring her back to her path, she needs to hold one of the real swords and lose her desire to live how she wants. Red's group finally encounters Shissenden and Ares and a fight breaks out. The groups are evenly matched with Shissenden wielding the 5 hero swords. Suddenly, Theodora comes in and binds Rit. She wants Ruti to become the hero again, thinking that the world needs her. Rit thinks that Ruti is her own person and not the hero, surprising her. Red tries to save Rit but gets attacked by Ares and falls down an elevator. Meanwhile, Tis, beaten and bloody on the ground, is approached by Ares. She also doesn't want her friend Ruti to lose herself, but the cold Ares doesn't care. Downstairs, Danon gets up and knows that he needs to help his friend Red. He stops the elevator and throws it back up. Red jumps out of it and, assisted by Rit, charges at Ares. Ares tries to defend himself, but a web from Mr. Crawley Wah binds him and Red chops both his hands off. Ares, the sage, falls into a bloody pool, unreconciled with his fate as his life slips away. At the same time, Ruti is fighting with Shasenden. He is surprised by her strength as she beats him back. Ruti takes one of the original swords from him and attacks Shasenden, killing him once and for all. However, the sword has a strange effect on her mind. Ruti makes her way back up and begins fighting Red. He tries to wake her up, but to no avail. She breaks his sword Thunderwaker, but Red quickly draws his old bronze sword and knocks the hero sword out of her hands, returning her to normal. Danon and Albert come in, watching as the fun ends. Ruti runs over to heal a severely wounded Tis but fails. She panics, not wanting to lose the only friend she made. She doesn't apologize for her actions, thinking she only did what she thought was right. Red tells her that the hero's blessing isn't the only thing that makes someone a hero. He tells her that someone with a noble heart who is willing to fight for the world can also become a hero. Theodora then wonders if she can do something different from her blessing and become a guide like him, to which he nods. The group returns to town after the battle. Ruti enjoys the winter season, getting her first cold. It turns out that she developed a blessing called New Truth that allowed her to control any other blessing. Using it, Ruti suppressed her hero blessing and settled down for a quiet life. The group attends Ares' farewell, wishing him a better life in the next one. They bid farewell to Danon before Red and Rit return home at night. The two of them finally get together on their bed, doing what they've been wanting to do for a while. The next day, Red spends more time with his sister and shows her around town. Tis and Ruti have decided to buy a farm nearby and start their new lives together. They're at Red's shop when a woman tells them a nearby village is under attack. Ruti gets up and Tis admires her for being a hero who protects people of her own free will. Before Ruti leaves, Red asks her if she'd like anything, and she asks for warm milk with honey as the show comes to an end on a good note. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.